The why has never been about hard drive space or the amount of RAM or how quick your internet is, your up, down, speed, whatever. It's never been just about that. The why has always been about the people behind it.
Hey guys, welcome to Be Original with Eisley Creative,
where we discuss all things marketing. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy.
What's up, everybody? It's OJ, Be Original Podcast. We are here with my friend
Christian? I don't know what I'm supposed to say when you say with my friend.
Oh, that's true, because there's
It's
two
like,
people
how do I
here.
respond?
I was going to jump in.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we just met. We're kind of friends. I was going to intercept it and take it to the house. But.
All right, we're here. Episode 3, Season 3. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you guys a ton. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff on whatever platform you're on. We really appreciate it. Today, we are joined by the one and only Steve Scherer.
Scherer, you got it.
Scherer.
Nailed it. Yes. And the silent at the beginning. Most people miss it because it's an S.
I love
but
it.
we're good. We're good. You nailed it.
Steve is VP of Sales at CCB.
Yep. CCB Technology.
Which is a local a Racine company.
Yeah, you got it.
Based out of Racine, which is really cool. So what's really cool about this is that we've never actually met up until this point.
And we're already better friends than you and him.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's not very hard.
There's something going on
I'm
here.
just kidding. There's a lot of tension between Christian and I.
Always.
Yeah.
That's why it works.
No, so it's really cool because and we'll kind of dive right in, right?
Sure. Let's go.
So one of the things that specifically for this season we're talking about is content.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we're a production company. We're very, into building content for companies and corporations. And I was telling Christian, I said, when we're developing the concept for season 3, I was like, it'd be really cool to get, a company that's just starting in their content life and trying to navigate through it. And I fell upon a podcast that you guys just released recently.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is perfect. Like, these guys are doing it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we talk about this all the time. It's something is better than nothing. And you guys are doing it. And I'm really excited for you guys.
Thanks.
We have literally no connection outside of this. Like, you're not one of our clients.
No.
We've never worked together.
No.
So it's really cool in that respect to see a local company really diving into it. And obviously, I think it's near and dear to our hearts just because, we know a lot of people at CCB and connected through church and other nonprofit things like that.
Sure.
And it's really cool. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
and hanging out
I'm
with
glad
us.
to be here. Yeah.
Sweet. So I'll start off. Just a quick question: why 2019? Why the push for content at CCB?
Yeah, our VP of marketing might give a different answer than I would. So backing up a little bit, we've done a lot of content development and pushing out content over the past 7, 8, 10 years, but it's taken different forms. So our background and business plan and business model we kind of fell into. Started off with just nonprofits. We were only working with nonprofits on the technology side of things. And so the content that was pushed to them specifically was like clip art. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't pretty. When I first came on to CCB and when our VP of marketing actually took over, she was like, okay, we're going to start over a little bit here. And our website wasn't reflective of our expertise in technology. And so that was one spot that she started. And so fast forwarding now to 2019, we've just turned that dial up a ton. And the why behind it is, it's multifaceted, but people's attention spans are pretty short. So pay attention.
I love it.
So people's attention spans are pretty short, including mine. But then also, if you're going to stay relevant, there's feeds on like every app, and if you aren't doing something within 3 weeks, that's basically an eternity, or it can be. And more near and dear to my heart is because we believe that you can get technology stuff from just about anywhere. We compete against Amazon. We compete against folks that are way, way bigger than us. So then why buy from us? Why work with us? And we do believe selfishly that we have a great culture, and we've got people that typically, when you meet them, you're like, I like these guys. Why don't I give them a shot?
Yeah.
So developing content for us is we want to reflect the culture. We want to reflect who we are, and we don't want to just blend in. I'm really not trying to be cliche, but if we are going to separate ourselves from competition, if we are going to have people get a glimpse into who we are, then sometimes it's a selfie video from our CEO and president, Patrick, of him just saying, hey, we work from home, and then his kid jumps in the frame. Or it's a beautifully crafted blog written by one of our engineers. But either way, that gives a glimpse into who we are, what we're good at, and then we believe that people like to do business with people they like because they've got tons of options.
No, it's totally true. And coming off of that, which I think is really important for people to understand, like you said, you know, it's getting to know who you are and who your company is. But what I thought was really interesting about the content that you guys are putting out right now, specifically the podcast, is it's geared not around IT necessarily at all. It's about leadership, which I think, obviously, leadership to me is really important. Christian and I lead in a company together, and we really do our best to try and, you know, do all the things that you probably talk about on your podcast. But I think it's super valuable in the same effect that we do with this podcast together, right? Like our goal isn't to sell necessarily. Right. Our goal is to really just give as much content as we can to our audience so that they have the tools and the power to do it themselves or go find somebody that fits them the better or whatever it is, right? So that's really interesting to me. What drove you to leadership and not a podcast that's specifically designed for IT purposes?
So if I was going to be a part of a podcast for IT, I would probably start counting maybe the ceiling tiles or something like that because I'm on the sales side of things. And while I do have a good grasp of IT stuff and why it can help businesses further their mission and actually reach a larger audience, whatever their mission is, whether it's selling stuff or protecting people's money, or it's a nonprofit that's trying to have more and more babies being born healthy. I can explain how IT connects to that. But why not a podcast about IT? Well, because frankly, I'm passionate about leadership. And it was easy. I mean, I've been tearing up books. Not easy to make a podcast. Let me put a caveat. Not easy to make a podcast or edit a podcast or know how to figure that out. It was easy for me to get excited about it. And I have seen, again, it's going to sound cliche, but I really like what I do. And a huge part of that is because of who I work with and the leadership that I've been under at CCB. The meetings that we have, they get pretty passionate. One of the things that has been said by Patrick and his father Chris is, you know, we can fight it out behind closed doors, but when we open these doors, we're going to be a unified front when we go out. And because of that mutual respect and that leadership and those things that we're practicing behind closed doors, we're seeing more and more that as we meet with business leaders, we have similar questions after we talk about their rollout of new IT stuff. And it's around, so how are you guys marketing to people? And how do you find good talent? You had so I did recruiting for 5, 6, 7 years before getting into the sales thing. And people will ask, so where do you go? Do you still go to these large job boards? Are you using LinkedIn? And these conversations kept happening more and more. Patrick was being approached about mentoring folks, mentoring people that were coming up through the ranks. And it just became a natural fit. And it just, again, being candid, it was kind of a half joke in one of my meetings with Patrick as I'm tearing up podcasts and trying to figure out how to be a VP of sales. I'm reading books, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm taking other people's advice. And then he said, why don't we start a podcast? I'm like, about what? And he's like, all this stuff you're talking about. I said, but I don't know if I have anything that people are going to want to listen to. He's like, well, then why don't you interview these people that you're meeting with, that you're asking, how do you do it? And so for us, it was a natural thing of moving into that. And again, I work for a guy that is fine to roll the dice. So we're rolling the dice on something that doesn't have to do directly with IT. However, whether you are a director of sales or you're an IT manager or you're a facilities operator or you're a VP of marketing and you're in accounting, I haven't ever heard anybody say, I've got too many leaders. And it furthers the conversation. What's behind all of that, as people are starting to zone out as I'm ranting and raving about this leadership stuff, what's behind all of it is that we actually care.
No, what you're talking about is interesting because from the perspective of what we do on a regular basis and trying to figure out clients, help customers find their why or the reason why they're doing what they're doing. I think it speaks like volumes to the type of organization that you are and the culture that you guys have.
Yeah.
And it's really what it boils down to is, again, you're giving valuable content away for free to your audience. And like you said, you're way more inclined to do business with somebody that you can relate to at some level. And whether that's in IT or leadership or whatever, or fishing stories, like it doesn't even matter. Right?
We can talk about. You want to talk about fishing? We talk about. If we're making that transition, I've got fishing stories. I don't know, my first time here.
I don't know anything about fishing. My wife loves it though.
Well, let's talk about it.
I'll learn. I'll learn.
Sorry, I'm derailing this whole thing.
No, but that's the whole point is, and we talk about it all the time. It's really, and that's the reason why we do our podcast.
Yeah.
Like we're not doing it for anything other than we want to give as much valuable information to our audience as possible.
You know what else is? Sorry, I know that this is conversational, but I still feel weird about jumping in and interrupting you.
No, you're good.
Okay,
Good.
So one thing that irritates me is clickbait.
Sure.
So I understand teasers. I watch previews for movies and things like that. I don't think that that's clickbait. And what I mean by that is not some technical definition that I know someone else has come up with. To me, it's something that does not add value. It's, oh my goodness, can you believe this happened? Click it. What? You're shredding paper. That makes no sense. Why did I click this? So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of free, non-valuable content that people are pushing out that's just clickbait garbage that I think. So in the same vein of what you guys are doing, we're trying to do that as well, and really we're copying other people. We are from that standpoint because we've gotten value from folks like Entree Leadership and Gary Vee and all these other folks that are just pushing out tons of stuff. You don't have to agree with everything that these organizations say, but as they're giving this content out for free, you're gleaning something. And then what I've found is that if they're giving all this away for free, I wonder what you get when you pay for it. And then we go to the conference. We actually do. We're taking 7 people to this conference, and it was just me and Patrick last year. The reason 7 people are going this year is because there was great content at the conference. It wasn't just a snooze fest kind of thing. So
Well, so let's move on. Let's go even further into this. So CCB you've got your leadership podcast that you guys are doing right now. And one thing that we talked about too, and what we would consider another piece of content is your showcase. You have that coming up in May.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, harmless plug. You can plug the thing, but tell us why have you guys decided that that's valuable?
Yeah, sure. Click here for more. Just kidding. Just kidding. As I just said, I make fun of myself.
I hate clickbait.
I hate clickbait.
That's
but seriously,
the promo
click
clip
here.
we're gonna use
but seriously, click here because we need you to register. So I don't take myself too seriously, but so the tech showcase. So this is again an idea. This was a risk. This was a huge risk, both from a name standpoint and a financial standpoint that Patrick took, and it has worked out. So I won't go crazy on this, but the story behind it's pretty interesting, and I was really glad to be witness of it. Let's see. This is our 6th one, I believe. So rewind 6.5, 7 years ago, and Patrick, I believe the story goes, he was on a plane, and this idea came to him about basically throwing a party, but how do you throw a party for IT people? And because he's not an IT guy, he's not the engineer, but he loves to entertain people and he loves to create a great work environment and a great environment for people to be in. So he writes down some ideas and starts scribbling stuff all over a notebook. He gets back, throws out the idea to some folks, and they're like, "We've never done this before. How the heck do we do this? What is this? What are you talking about?" And so we did it the first year, and it was in Racine and Kenosha, and it was at two different hotels, one on Highway 20 and one down on 31. Which that information is totally useless. So feel free to ignore what I just said. But anyway, we did it the first year, and it was basically launching this thing in beta.
Sure.
Even though we wanted it to be great, we didn't know if people were going to show up. And Patrick was not okay in a mental state. And he readily tells people this because it's part of the story. He was just, what if people don't show up? What if people don't care? But what was the point of it? It seriously was. It was to expose people more readily to who we are as a company and give people an opportunity to see us at our best.
Yeah.
So we wrap in technology, like deep dive technological conversations. Where is technology going? So we have a technology futurist this year that's going to talk about things like, what if concrete could heal itself? And what if the technology was there that when salt and all that stuff starts to erode it, that it had the properties to actually heal itself. What if that existed? Yeah. So where is technology going, and how do you keep your business safe from being non-existent as technology progresses? So we have that track. So now, after all these years, we've stubbed our toe along the way. We've had some successes, and the heart is still the same. We want people to see us at our best, and it's not just about computers for us. It's never just been about computers for us. It's always been about the people behind it and the mission that's out in front of it. So the showcase this year actually has two tracks. So we've got a leadership track. So whether you are C-level or a director, or you're figuring this thing out as you're going through leadership stuff, we've got a leadership track with breakout sessions and speakers that are going to talk about how do you hire great talent, how do you create a great culture, and how can technology protect you from your business going under, so like phishing attacks and things like that. Not crazy deep dive technical stuff. And then over here we've got an IT pro track. And then we've got 25, 30, 40 vendors, and I think the breakout sessions are around 25 as well. So that piece of content now has been kind of the highlight and the pendulum swing moment for us in our year. So if we have 20 events in a year, that's the one. If I was going to tell somebody to come see what we're all about, it would be that. Even if they only care about this leadership thing, they'll get something from it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then you've got people like Patrick that want to give away a bunch of stuff, want to have a good time, want to throw people's faces up on the screen. So we were at Miller Park for a couple of years, and we would use the Jumbotron. We're at the Wisconsin Center this year. But the heart behind it, again, is to give away as much as we can. And the past 5 years, everything for attendees for the past 5 years has been completely free for attendees. So that's a big expense, and then Patrick has to figure that stuff out.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously the moral of the story is you've done it for 6 years, so there's obviously been an upside to it, and Patrick realizes that.
Yep. The whole team is that we believe the whole company, top to bottom, everybody understands why we do this stuff now.
Well, and that's another good point. Like it speaks to volumes to the type of company that you guys are and the type of environment that you guys are building and investing in, things like that outside of just technology, like you would expect from an IT company.
Yeah, I think it's cool because a lot of industries get stuck on like content and what to put out, and I feel like you're kind of a forerunner in recognizing that what you provide as a business is a tool. And that's good. And that's not necessarily why your business exists. You provide the tool, but it exists for the people using the tool.
The why has not, I guess is what I should say. The why has never been about hard drive space or the amount of RAM or how quick your internet is, your up, down speed, whatever. It's never been just about that. The why has always been about the people behind it.
Yeah.
And when it attracts people that care about that same why.
Yeah.
So when I was a rep and one of my customers, their mission, which I had alluded to before, was their mission is to have as many healthy babies born across the nation. And when the senior VP of IT looked at me in a meeting and said, every dollar that you save us helps further that mission.
That's deep.
And I'm like, I'm not an IT guy, but I'm a human.
Yeah.
And then I can come alongside, and then every little point that I can shave off, we keep the lights on because we're in sales, but to come alongside that mission and to have him say, you helped us, that whole thing. So So that content, the content thing, I'm not trying to get too far away from that, but the why behind it, if the why isn't there, then I'm no expert in it, but I would think it would fizzle out
Yeah, absolutely.
pretty quickly, and people would lose interest.
Well, and I
too.
think that's what keeps people from doing content, because they're again industry focused all the time, and I don't think you need to be industry focused.
Yeah.
You need to go with what kind of oozes out of you.
Yeah.
You need to go with things that are your natural passions.
Yeah.
And last season we talked about different content for stages of the buyer's journey, and one of them was advocacy. But I think that applies to more areas than we even talked about last season of even just advocating for your clients that are using the tools that you're selling.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So I think it's cool that you can, I guess, for anybody out there that's trying to start creating content,
Yeah.
to just flip the perspective a little bit and say, focus on that why, or focus on the people. Like, that's really the thing.
That's
It's like,
it.
no matter what you're using, if you focus on the people, you can't go wrong.
So
you know?
that line, to this husband and wife combo that run Bell City Magazine, that was their line. Was focus on the people. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
They do what they do with printing 10,000 copies of this magazine and distributing it themselves and going out in the rain and dropping them off at Piggly
Yeah.
Wiggly's and all these
Yeah.
other places because they actually care.
Yep.
So if that why isn't ignited, well, then you've probably got a bigger problem.
Yeah.
I mean, don't launch content if you don't actually
Yeah.
care about what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
That's true.
Because it's going to be disingenuous. I would
Yeah.
think. I don't know.
No, absolutely it does. Yeah, no, that's good. It's really interesting.
Is this where it's supposed to be going?
I don't
Is this
know.
where we're supposed
There's
to be
no
going?
supposed to be.
There's
It's
no
just a-
supposed to be.
Yes.
No, what
So
I
I got an A+. then.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
Okay, good.
What's interesting to me is your the scenario that you just gave about saving $1, saving me $1, it helps babies, blah blah blah.
Yep.
It's super interesting because we have a really similar relationship with several nonprofits that we work with. Like CareNet is one of them.
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
YFC or
Yeah.
the Coalition in Illinois. Like a lot of these organizations, like that's it. We invest in them because we believe in their mission and
Yep.
things like that. And they come back to us every year because we understand their mission. But not only that, like they love that we're advocates for their brand as well.
I bet they trust you guys.
Well, absolutely.
So I ran into an issue with some of my team members in the recent history. Nothing with them personally, but like there was a transition of a rep. Good terms, that whole thing. I promise there's a point to the story that ties to what you were just saying. But I wasn't sure how to navigate it, and we got through it. Everything worked out, but I wasn't sure in the middle of it, and I didn't know. And I looked at Patrick and was like, "This is what I think." And he was like, "Good," and I said, "Okay." And he said, "You trust your people, and they trust you." Mm-hmm. So that customer trust, it's beyond commission. It's beyond making another sale to them because there's more at stake than just creating content for content's sake. There's more at stake than just getting clicks and likes and shares and all that kind of stuff. Because what are you going to tell? I mean, to me, what am I going to tell my kids when in 10 years when they actually know that I've been in sales and now they're really young and they get that I'm at a computer company. But in 10 years, I'm not going to tell them how many shares I got and how many likes I got. I'm going to tell them the stories about the babies or CareNet or YFC and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So but that trust piece, if you actually care, you're genuine throughout, I think that trust shortens the time frame from people getting to know you and people doing business with you.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I
So,
think it goes hand in hand. Obviously, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where you present yourself as a trustworthy person or somebody that is easily liked,
Mm-hmm.
or that's been that's a huge part of that's the biggest part of our business when it comes to new client acquisition, right?
Yeah.
That's all. All of this is amazing. I do have a question though
Yeah,
for you.
let's go.
On the content side for CCB, what kind of things do you? I guess maybe it's two parts. So, what kinds of things are you looking forward to doing this year as far as content? And are there any hurdles that you maybe are even dealing with inside of yourself in creating those things, those content pieces or
Yeah.
whatever they are.
Yeah. So, gut reaction to the first part of that. So, looking forward, content wise, I'm looking forward to having more of our customers' stories be told. So, not just highlighting CCB stuff, but we do like to tell people's organization stories.
Yeah.
So if it was like a CareNet or a YFC example, there would be a tie to IT, but we get to highlight what they do.
Yeah.
And so that theme, whether it's a customer testimonial, not just testimonial, like a customer case study, or they're focused on they're a guest on the podcast, and we're talking about Bell City Magazine again and why they do what they do.
Yeah.
Well, I genuinely enjoy highlighting their story and getting them more business because it makes me, I mean, selfishly it makes me feel good. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
But the second part to that question, that's an easy one for me. I'm horrible at delegation. I'm awful at delegation. I want to just, if it needs to get done, I feel like, okay, just let's throw it on my back and see how far we can get. But then you get exhausted, and then your eye starts to twitch because you're not getting enough sleep, and you're just hammering coffee and you can't get through. So when it comes to the forward-looking, what I'm anticipating, telling people's stories and helping brag about other people's stories, some of the hurdles that I'm finding is for myself. So I have had somewhat of a vision for this podcast thing that we're doing, but I can't do it all. So the editing, the booking of appointments, all of the little detail stuff that just makes it better. So I know some of the stuff that we were talking about, the several pieces that you released beforehand, the follow up afterwards. I can't do that because my title is actually not maker of podcast things. That's good. So I still have a sales team that's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in a closet trying to edit this thing down. So that's one hurdle that that I have to get over. And frankly, I don't know if you guys have ever struggled with this, but the ramp up to releasing the podcast for the very first episode, okay, it was just before Christmas. I wasn't going to take these couple days off. I had some family home. There's so much to do. I got to get all this work done, whatever. And I'm talking with Patrick, and I'm super stressed out. Closing out the year, trying to get the podcast stuff done. And then we have all the sales goal stuff. We've already hit our goal, but I want to hit the stretch goal and all this stuff. And he's like, you got to go home. And I'm like, go home?
Yeah.
Like, he said, yeah, you've got 4 kids, you got family at home, you got to go home. And I'm like, it's the middle of the day. What are you talking about? He's like, no, you take the next couple of days off. You need to chill out. You just need to be with your family. And I'm like, but we got to get this podcast. Well, fine. I guess we should just cancel the podcast then. Hit the blinking red button for me and let's just end it. So what am I talking about? Fear.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while, even people that are super confident or that have succeeded in the past or whatever, fear creeps in.
Yeah.
And so one of the hurdles I would anticipate is getting right up to the line when the boxes have been checked, the things have been booked, it all looks good, and then actually launching it. Because what if somebody trolls you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think every company does it.
What if somebody, what if
Every
what
company and every content creator, every artist, like
You're not alone in it.
Yeah.
I think the thing that you have to really, and we talked about this earlier, was just something is better than nothing. You have to continually do stuff. Push.
Well, that makes me feel good.
Push your stuff out. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because honestly, if the people that are going, the people that are going to be your clients are going to be the ones that appreciate you at this point.
That's what I hope. Yeah, hopefully.
And I think that's true with that.
Well, I also think it's important, and like I don't think anybody does this well. Honestly, I've seen very few, but building a community of people outside of your company that are doing similar things, which I think for us, we're unintentionally trying to do that this season with reaching out to different creators and companies and things like that. But like, hey, Christian, OJ, I'm about to do this, and I'm nervous as heck, and just take a look at it, see what you think. And like that's where we can like come around you and support you and say, yeah, man, put it out. It's awesome. Like, let's
pump you up.
Yeah, that's important because honestly, I think for me, people that do what we're doing or are trying to do the same things that we're trying to do, whether it's the same industry or not, but another podcast or whatever, they're the most intimidating people in my mind. You know, I think about it's like people that do it really well, and then you come back and you're like, oh, they're gonna hate it, but like even though it's not created for them, it's still in my head. You know, like it's still there, and so I think just building that sort of community, especially locally, you know, is important for businesses to just encourage each other.
Good.
And like, you know, and we always talk about it, and I really like want to stress it that like for OJ and I and John, who own the company, our passion is really to see businesses grow. And so for us, it's like when we do this kind of stuff, like it has nothing to do with us trying to sell. And when we meet a new company, when we meet new people, our first thought isn't, oh, this could be a client. Our first thought is, how can we help? And even if that means a conversation of saying, hey, maybe you should buy this mic, or maybe you should do this, or maybe you should try that. Like, that's free value that we give all the time. And we recognize that just because it comes naturally to us, doesn't mean it comes naturally to everybody else, you know? So I might think, well, yeah, obviously you would buy that mic. But you know, somebody that doesn't know anything about microphones wouldn't think that. And I have to remind myself, or OJ has to remind me, like that's value. You know, here, this is why I would do this. This is why I would do that.
Did you guys find that you did that? Like, did you do that naturally before even launching the company? Just, hey, you should check this movie out, check this book out, like referring things to people.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah, I think recently we've been more intentional about it because we want people to recognize like we're not always trying to sell.
Yeah,
we want people to recognize we want to build community and relationship with other businesses just for the sake of helping.
Yeah,
because we want that. You know, like I think that's the motive is that we want that community of people to say, hey, you guys are doing a great job because. You know, we hear it every once in a while, but you don't always hear that. And you could be putting out great content and nobody's saying anything but maybe your internal team. But your internal team, you're always kind of like, yeah, I know you think it's good. You know, like it's your stuff too.
You were the 5 ones that commented on my thing on LinkedIn or whatever.
But when you have other people that may not have liked or commented or anything like that, but you see them in passing and they're like, oh, I saw your podcast. Good job. You know, like that means a lot. And so I think that to help you combat that fear.
I appreciate it, man.
Like we're available.
So good.
Send us stuff, you know. But the same thing with anybody out there listening to this is whether you're a company or whether you're an entrepreneur and you're like a stay-at-home mom doing, you know, your own business, like call us, send us a message, text us, like we'll give you advice, we'll help you, you know, like same thing with you guys. Like, you know, I just feel like that's the kind of the heart and where our certain parts of our culture are going of just wanting to have that more intention, purpose, and we need that community, you know, like, so I think it's important.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I would also say that it's not always like just because I would say sometimes it's just not, we're just not a good fit for like us specifically. We're not a perfect fit for a lot of other companies, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that doesn't take away from the fact that we still want to help as best as we possibly can.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what I'm getting at. It's relationship first, and you know, like if somebody that we have a relationship with eventually becomes a client, great. If they don't, there's a reason for that, you know, and that's okay, and that's accepted on both sides. It doesn't mean you can't communicate. Ever again.
Yeah,
you know
you
what
don't
I mean?
have to cut people off.
Absolutely.
Checks,
So I just think it's really important that we do that as you know, businesses and people in business, just you know, communicating with each other and encouraging each other, because we don't do that enough. You just hear like all the negative stuff everywhere, and you know, like now that I've met you, I can be like, oh yeah, CCB, I know Steve, he's the man. You know, like, you know, before.
Me?
Oh yeah.
Thanks, man.
Exactly.
Me?
But it's just one of those things.
This guy.
No, I can't stand it.
I can't believe it.
The worst ever.
Wow.
But it's one of those things. Like
He was way wrong about you.
Yeah. Until you hear, until you meet somebody from a company, your response about a company is usually, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, if somebody says something about CCB, I have something to attach to it, right? So
that's so. You can buy IT stuff from wherever. There's a lot of companies that might not be doing exactly what you guys are doing, but I'm assuming you have competition because it's it's America and there's competition everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the people behind what you guys do, it makes it real. That's the thing. That you do business with people. And I don't know. I've done the chat thing with Amazon when I've bought stuff before because I buy stuff from Amazon.
Yeah.
I have no idea who these people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no actual person behind that other than some gentleman with the name Jeff. And I don't know them, but yeah, it's the people behind any sort of industry that I think makes it actually worth it or intriguing or whatever.
Yep.
Well, that was a really good conversation.
Yeah.
Can you do one more plug for your tech showcase before we head off?
Yeah, so Tech Showcase, it's coming up May 9th in Milwaukee. So the two things that I would say is if you're an IT person, it's for you. If you're a business person or someone that's interested in business and leadership, there will be solid, meaty takeaways. Chris Hogan is one of the featured speakers, and he's speaking over lunch, and he's speaking also at the end of the showcase. This guy is phenomenal. He's phenomenal. It's basically like if either one of you play football ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So defensive coordinator.
Yep.
Picture a defensive coordinator giving you a motivational talk. That's this guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's him all day.
Nice.
And then you've got the other gentleman that I mentioned before, the futurist, who is going to be speaking more of the tech lingo. So he's doing a couple breakouts as well.
Cool.
So May 9th.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Tech Showcase. And you will see what CCB is all about. That's what I would say.
That's awesome.
Great.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for
Yeah, man.
hanging out with us today. Guys, like I said at the beginning, make sure you like, comment, subscribe on all the platforms that you're on. We really hope that you loved today's episode. And that's about it. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.